And our founders, with very intent purpose, planted the seed in Central City to address the three social ills of our time: poverty, prejudice, and fear. And very happy to say, if you've been to New Orleans and to Cafe Reconcile in Central City, that's no longer the case. Within the last 2 years alone, there were over $200 million of economic development just on the boulevard where we are. That doesn't include the outskirts into the neighborhoods and all the economic development with the housing and such. You don't hear about Central City anymore with crime and murder. But even when we planted our seed there, the community left us alone. We got in there and formed relationships with the community, which was priority one, and that became the formation of people getting to know who we are. But we're very intentional about getting out into the neighborhood and making sure people knew who we were. Throughout the next 45 minutes, you can hear a lot of things. I hope we're impactful in giving you a lot of information about our organization and what we're doing, which we feel is one of the top workforce development organizations in the country now. In 2014 alone, we were visited by over 100 other organizations throughout the country. 30 international organizations have come to us, about 23 from Africa, 8 different parts of Europe, Russia, Denmark. We got visitors from Australia next week. Our only problem now is we can't grow it fast enough, which seems to be the problem in the nonprofit world. But I think we're on the precipice of figuring that out. So I want to start off with just showing you a video. We have probably 3 or 4 videos throughout the presentation, but this is just kind of a little slight introduction, kind of give you a little bit about it.
Come to Cafe Reconcile and see our newly renovated restaurant, located in Central City, open for lunch, catering, and banquets, with plenty of free and safe parking. It's Cafe Reconcile, building hope, changing lives.
So that gives you a little taste, no pun intended, about the work we do. We have a lot of fun when we do, but the work we do is very serious also, and we take our work extremely serious. But we do it with a lot of smile and a lot of love, because we understand that when these youth come to us, it's our job to meet them where they are, and our number one priority is to make sure that we transform their lives and to help them become the best version of themselves, not to try to create them what we think they ought to be. And so we know that the precipice and the secret ingredient to our training must be that we have to earn their respect from day one. And we do a lot of modeling, and the staff that we have, fortunately, love what they do, so it's very easy to do. But the training that we go through is about a 4-phase process of a course of 15 months. The first 3 weeks of the process is very life skills, classroom training. The next phase is the cafe phase, where they work in every aspect of the cafe, front of the house and back of the house, along with our staff, where they shadow. The third phase is the externship, where they're placed with one of our over 50 business partners. And then at that point, then they're hired, and they actually earn their certification from our program and graduate. We then work with them over the next 12 months, the graduate as well as the employer, to make sure that that relationship forms a bond. That's a very, very, very strong transitional period to come from now what they call home for many to going into the workforce, mostly for the first time in their lives, because the profile of the majority of our students, 80% have been involved with the juvenile justice system at some point in their lives. 60% are enrolling within our program, probably within 6 months of being released from prison. High 50% rate of drug addiction, mental health issues, high 38% single parents. But yet still, with all those barriers, within a very short period of time, they're working and they're staying employed. And I think that just goes to the effects of the effectiveness of the program and the people that are involved. There's not a second that they're in the building throughout their training that somebody's not teaching them something. Every second we have them is a teachable moment, and we use that. So we have a cookie cutter approach, which is about this big, but they're taught outside of here. We try to keep somewhat of a structure. You have to, but our ears are always listening to what's the right key to fit into this up here. And you know, trying to get these young adults to stop thinking of survival and trying to get them into a life of self-sufficiency, and that's our goal. This next clip I'm going to show you, I think will give you a little more insight. I like to have people listen from the mouths of our young people. It's hard for me to stand up here sometimes and speak for them, although I try to sometimes, but I just can't. And later on, you know, they actually have the opportunity to listen to one of our superstars, and there are hundreds, believe me.
Chef Joe is cooking. When a pupil is ready, the teacher will appear. But the ingredients in this kitchen are a heaping side of hope and a dash of reality.
That's what a lot of people do, especially in positions to hire. They judge you by your appearance.
This is Cafe Reconcile, a dining experience like you've never seen.
This is kitchen of life. You know, we don't only train in techniques in the kitchen, but we train in techniques to live life.
Cafe Reconcile opened 11 years ago in central New Orleans.
Should I sing a little song about my church song or no?
Sister Mary Lou Specia is the cafe's heart and soul. What this place means to you? Let's start off with that.
Oh, wow. I can't say it without crying.
These are kids, what, on the fringe, you think?
Oh, yeah. Many of them have experienced violence firsthand, lost somebody to death in their family, murder.
Cafe Reconcile takes teenagers on the brink and prepares them to enter the workforce. Hundreds of these graduates now work in some of New Orleans' top restaurants, like inside the Lowe's Hotel. Each class learns to run this kitchen first, but before they get here, they learn life skills in a classroom.
You don't got no time, you don't got no money.
It's about building a foundation.
You think before you speak, that's what we're talking about, okay?
Every morning starts with a prayer, a chance to talk through frustration, and on some mornings, a time to talk about a friend that was murdered. Sister Mary Lou consoles the young woman.
What happened?
In the face and the chest.
I'm so sad. I'm going to put my hands on you, and I'm going to pray and pray and pray.
A white Catholic nun from Iowa comes in here into what seems like one of the toughest neighborhoods in New Orleans and connects with these kids.
She crazy.
It's become a hugely popular lunch spot. Before Leonard Alvis entered the program, he'd been in and out of jail 5 times for drug possession. Where do you think you would be if you weren't going through this program?
Yeah, I'd be somewhere in jail somewhere. Because I was really a wreck. I was a real wreck.
Cafe Reconcile is a safe place for these young students, but life outside this kitchen isn't safe. 2 months ago, Sister Mary Lou Specia got a phone call that made her question whether she could go on.
Oh, it was horrible. I threw up my arms and said, I'm done.
The devastating news was the murder of 22-year-old Marvin Watts, a recent Cafe Reconcile graduate working for one of the top chefs in New Orleans. His senseless murder made Sister Mary Lou Specia want to walk away.
The last thing I said to him was, I said, Marvin, I love you. It's what I hear in my head every day. And he said, I love you too, sister.
But it didn't take long for Sister Mary Lou to realize she couldn't give up. She sees inspiration in every face.
Big white chicken, sweet greens.
Because of young people like Causey Davis. A kid with so much talent and the biggest smile around, looking for a place to blossom. Causey is 22 years old, taught himself to play the piano.
I feel every key that I play is real emotional.
Causey's family left New Orleans when he was in high school. He stayed behind and started drifting. Davis says he wasted countless days smoking weed. No place to call home, he started living out of a car. No future for this young father of 2 children. He turned to Cafe Reconcile, but the first time he failed a drug test and got kicked out.
What'd you think of yourself?
I just felt like a failure.
You'd never guess, but Causey's constant smile hides the reality of home life. now living in this drug-plagued corner of the Treme district in New Orleans.
This is the living room.
This is a young man who has almost nothing.
And this is my bedroom. Either it's this or homeless. So it's a roof, and I'm grateful for a roof.
The people who are most vulnerable, the poorest, get judged the harshest, because I think people don't want to see the poor.
Thanks to Cafe Reconcile, you can now see Causey Davis working in a fancy New Orleans restaurant, and he's got even bigger dreams.
I have faith. I have a strong belief that I will be successful, and nothing this time will stop me.
Ed Lavendera, CNN, New Orleans.
So many hundreds of stories like that are coming out of Cafe Reconcile in New Orleans. I'm going to invite Mr. Onassis Jones, our mental health specialist, to kind of walk you through really some of the technical side of how we transform their lives. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good evening, everyone. One of the things we strive to do along with our mission is to be very intentional. Just as Mr. Glenn had basically asked you guys to move from the back of the room to the front. If we're going to fight poverty and address the issue, we cannot be at the back of the room. We have to move to the forefront. And so the same way as far as our organization, we are intentional to make sure that every student has the opportunity. That particular clip was some years, and I knew the young man that plays the piano because I'm a musician as well. But we were intentional to say, okay, we have these issues: homelessness, crime, drug addiction, imprisonment. What can we do? So the organization expanded the resources to hire case managers, the mental health professionals, to make sure that we are on the forefront of handling those issues. So we provide a psychosocial assessment to find out what the barriers are before they even enter the program. And even those who may not be accepted, we're still working with them to connect them with resources. So we provide, do an assessment of educational needs, those who probably need to get their GED. We link them to get those resources, and those who probably have graduated from high school to be connected to one of the colleges that are in the area. We partner with the community college. Mental health, psychiatric assessment. We have some students that come to us, they have been diagnosed previously, but they're not med compliant, so they can't keep a job. They can't maintain a job. And our job purpose is not to get the student the job, but to maintain the job and also to advance. That's how we break poverty. Substance abuse assessment. We have probably roughly about 70%, 60 to 70% of our young people that have been experiencing drugs and probably actively at that time or previously. And so we start immediately providing resources. I conduct substance abuse groups, and then out of that, they get the training that they need, the support that they need, the tools that they need, and also move forward. So in the life skills and throughout the tenure of the program, while they're there in 12 weeks, they get the support that they need. Resiliency, how to maintain a job, how to react when you're facing with difficulties, when trauma comes, when conflict comes, how do you address it? Not to react to it, but to be proactive with the skills that they learn. So that's one of the things that we're basically doing at Cafe Reconcile, work with young people that dealing with trauma. Yes, we have experienced a lot after Hurricane Katrina, that we're dealing with a lot of PTSD. Post-traumatic stress disorder, as far as the stressors, as far as dealing with their family issues. Some people are disconnected from their family, and how can we address that? And so we provide the tools and skills in order to help them to continue on with their education and also their vocational training. The last thing I want to mention is that with conflict resolution, we provide a lot of activities, a lot of learning in order for them to enhance and to grow. We use a cognitive model by Aaron Beck, well, cognitive behaviors and Darryl. So if you change the mindset, you'll change the behavior. So you're always going to have a situation. All of us have situations in our lives. So we teach them a situation leads to a thought. Thought leads to emotion. Emotion leads to a behavior. And whatever behavior they decide to do is going to either lead to a consequence or reward. And so we try to teach our young people to, when the situation occurred, a lot of them have to be retrained or retooled on how to respond in a crisis. They want to come out of poverty. They want to come out. They want to help their family. They want to help the situation. But how can I do this if I'm constantly dealing with the situation, don't know how to basically address it? So under those thoughts, you have core beliefs, you have intermediate beliefs, and then you have automatic beliefs. And a lot of our issues that we deal with young people that are trying to get out of those situations, the core beliefs is what they grew up in. The thoughts and the behaviors and the rules that they grew up in society. So a lot of times they can't break the generational cycle because my mom taught me to do it this way. I was taught, you know, I never had my father, so I don't know how to handle or to resolve conflict. And so what we do is basically retrain them on how to address those situations so that they can soar in the area of need. And I'll close with this, Mr. Glenn, is that it's not just for us to deal with our young people in those 12 weeks. It's a continual effort. We just don't say, well, you graduate, you got your certificate, you got your certification in 12 weeks. We also provide continual services for 12 months after they graduated. And it does not matter, it could be 2 years, it could be 5 years. We will be there to support our young people in order to make sure that they are successful. So in this fight, we are continuing the effort to make sure that our young people are resilient, that they can come on top, and to make sure that they can get all those resources that they need to break the tradition and also the cycle of poverty. Thank you.
Thank you, Onassis. You know, one of the things we added to the program last year was an alumni association. So we, you know, beyond the 12 months, like we speak about, we kicked this off to very grassroots because we really wanted this to grow organically into an organization that is really run by the graduates. We didn't want to put forth the policies and the procedures, and so through that process, we now have an average of 5 graduates a day showing up for other services. And so if you kind of backtrack, the number of youth that we worked with 2 years or 3 years ago was 80. 2 years ago were 100. Last year was 400. And because of now the additional services we're providing, we'll see over 1,000 youth this year alone. And we're seeing the track records of continual growth. And one of the great, I guess the pinnacle story I can say of that is, you know, even though we're training in the hospitality setting, all of our graduates don't go in the hospitality industry. Once we find out where their interests lie, we're able to guide them and focus them into their own career tracks and literacy and education. You know, every one of our graduates now qualify for scholarships to universities, every single one of them. So with that, you know, we're seeing in the last 3 groups of youth we've worked with, 28% are now in college. And it's unbelievable knowing where they came from and in a short period of time seeing where they are. And one of the bright lights of the whole thing is they're now sending us texts and photos of now their kids getting A's in school and watching the new families just emerge. And these are like many first time people, you know, individuals getting their high school diploma. So to imagine that they're actually going to college, but that's part of the life skills side. We do field trips to universities and get them to touch the wall and say, oh, it's a wall just like anywhere else. You know, it's not that big of a deal. And once they get rid of that fear, they thrive. I'm going to show you another little clip here before I bring up Mr. Superstar. Here we go. This is the new restaurant.
About 5 years ago, and she graduated from the program, and she was successful, so I joined to see in hospitality, so I could become more just aware of the restaurant environment.
And here I work as well as my JVC volunteer. I'm a youth advocate. So my main roles are to help young people identify any barriers that can prevent them from getting full-time employment.
At Reconciled, he taught me a lot of proper things as far as being on time, being at work at all times with mind, body, soul, all that. I just want to say Cafe Reconciled teaches you a lot of life skills. Decided to come here because at the time things wasn't really going the way that I wanted them to go for me. I couldn't keep a job, and it was kind of hard finding a job. So I joined this program. They helped me communicate with others, communicate with my employees, and how to keep a positive attitude.
We are a nonprofit as well as there is a business that runs out of here. And it also supports our mission. We're looking for a desire to change and a desire to be here, as well as just enough stability that we think employment is a suitable goal within the next 3 months. Because the goal at the end is to get them to full-time employment. We have about 7 classes every year. Each class has about an average of 15 students in it. This is our life skills classroom. This is where they spend their first 3 weeks. We teach sort of 5 main components. We teach culinary art skills, so like basic knife skills, basic culinary arts, basic food tasting. The second component that we teach would be resilience training, so it's coping skills. The third component of this training program is self-advocacy skills. As they're becoming adults, they're 16 to 22, all of them are looking for full-time employment or looking to become independent. The fourth component is furthering their education. So students who have not completed their high school diploma work on their GED. Students that have, we start talking, we have partnerships with Delgado to help them get into college there. And then the fifth component is employment skills. So how to write a resume, how to dress for an interview, all of those nitty-gritty things that you need to know to get a job.
On the hospitality, how to greet the guests, how to serve. I'm in the back of the kitchen, so I'm learning how to cook recipes.
The other thing we push when we're here is something we call 8 habits of success. So these are what we think is important in order to be able to keep a job and the main lessons that we really want them to learn. Now, when they're up here, they get a clear introduction to like what Cafe Reconciled is and does. So they get access to other services. And we have an employment education coordinator. She does 2 things. Number 1, she helps find jobs for our students. We have about 50 employment partners. All of them at some point take our students as interns at their restaurant, and then if they do well as interns, we hope that they will hire them. If there's no space, we also help our students find jobs after they complete their internship. The Emerald Lagasse, actually Emerald Lagasse is on the 2nd floor right now. I'm in Ujamed. Emerald Lagasse has been a huge partner for us. And if a student ever comes back, we have tons of young people who come back as alumni.
Well, we have that internship. We go on, I want to be the tour actually, high school tours in the cafeteria. So I'm going to be doing that, but I'm also going to school to Delgado or in registering. This program has really opened up a lot of doors for me and all my peers. So I learned a lot.
I like mentoring. I find myself a good speaker, so I feel as though I can mentor
So, how do we find our students? When we first started the program, we have formed great relationships with juvenile court judges, probation officers, and went and got students to come in the program. Now, it's mainly referrals from graduates, brothers, sisters, friends, trying to get them on the right path, or they see how well their friends doing, or their siblings doing, and they're sending them over to us. We run about seven to eight consecutive classes annually, which overlap. The biggest problem we have now is trying to get everybody in the program. Each class is 20 to 24 students, and depending on the time of the year, there are anywhere from 50 to 150 applicants. But we have to be selective in the process and making sure that the students we're selecting are very willing participants, because it's expensive to put to the program. And that's what we tell them when we first start. You know, we're a helping hand, we're not a handout. We're charitable, we're not charity. You're here to learn. And we make a guarantee. If you complete this program, you're going to be well on the way of a life of self-sufficiency. And we hold ourselves to very, very high standards. We've got an extremely innovative team, which is a double-edged sword sometimes, and wanting to start new things, but you don't have funding and you don't have the staff capacity. But we make every dollar look like $2. And the amount of hours that people put in, and the good thing is we don't see this as hard work, because we love it so much. So, speaking of loving it so much, I'd like to bring one of our graduates up here, Mr. Darryl Rayfield, and kind of talk about where he was in life and what Reconcile's done for him.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Darryl Rayfield. I come through Reconcile. Well, I'm start with how I get there. I had a bad life, tough life. Mine was on drugs. Dad was locked up all my life. Never had nobody there for me, so I took to the streets. Guns, violence, whatever. As long as I felt like I was happy at the time. Then one day came across me this guy from Ceasefire who knew what type of life I was living. He came, he was like, man, you need to stop before you end up dead or in jail. He ended up going down there with me. I ended up meeting Mr. Onassis. Onassis talked to me, gave me one of his little counseling meetings, tried to see where I was. He noticed that I really loved my grandmother and my family. He knew I was behind them 100%. So he used that toward me to get me. So it worked. I came back, sat in the classroom the first day. I didn't like it because I had just graduated high school, so I'm like, back in the classroom? No. So they ended up making it out of a fun thing, like they was bringing us places, letting us meet people, and I was starting to really get involved with it. My peers saw I was changing, they saw I wasn't the same person. A lot of them, I can't say the same for them, they're locked up. Better even dead. Well, that ain't better, that's worse. But this program is a very good program. Like, it really changed your life. Like, now I can actually walk up the street with my head to the sky and feel good about myself, and say that I actually have a life. And go and actually see my little girl. I have a 4-year-old daughter. I actually get to see her and like see her smile, and I get to be happy to be like, that's my daughter. She's gonna be proud of me, because I'm the man. It's like a whole lot that goes on in that building that no one really knows until you actually be there and actually get a chance to sit there and see how these people, how they bring us in, they treat us. If you come from outside, you don't have clothes on your back, and they got something in the closet, they're giving it to you. It's like he was saying, it's love, like no other. Like, I used to be the person, I can tell you, about 6 times I put out an application and didn't get hired. It's crazy. I was getting discriminated against. Police hated me. Now they don't even tell me anything. They just pass me up like, oh well. He not doing nothing that we want. So, going through the program, doing all those things, I stick with it. Now I work at Dick and Brennan Steakhouse. I was supposed to be a chef. I can still go back and do it, they told me, but I wanted to sit that aside for a minute and see how the waiter was, how being a waiter is. I'm liking it so far. When I get back from here, actually, they're talking about moving me up. I'm with that. And I got a call from these guys like a couple weeks ago, like, man, we want to take you out here to DC, and I'm like, huh? Me? I never flew, never been to DC. I'm scared. But now I'm here. And if you really think this program is good, it really is. Like, if you actually like come to New Orleans and see like where we from is like where it sits in the heart of all the violence. So just to get kids like me and other kids to come in and just sit down and say, oh, you from the 7th wall, you from the 3rd wall, you from the 6th wall, and we're sitting at the same table and we're talking. That's not normal for New Orleans. Because when 7th wall, 6th wall, and 3rd wall meet up, somebody's gonna get hurt. And that's what we always did, told him. Like my last few days there, I used to always go tell him, Mr. O, how y'all get us in here? And he just like, But this program really changed my life. And I hope everyone up in here see the same, because they really do. I really live that life. I'm hurting just talking about it because I'm picturing everything, like, still going through some things, but the classroom settings and all that, the coping and everything, it really works. Like, I used to be addicted to weed hard. Like, right now, I'll probably take off and go smoke. But I don't mess with it. I just go to work every day, work my hardest, and like all my managers see it, and they like me to be around them, because they see me as not that person like, oh, you might have to watch him. It's like a person like, oh, we could leave him in there, he won't do nothing. Because that's the type of skills and mindset that Reconcile have taught us and told us, like, and help us, like you said, keep going, helping us to maintain that. And it's worth it. It really is. Thank you all.
So that's what we get to do. It's very rewarding, and I feel like a proud parent sitting up here listening to his story. And I know what he's going through even today, but even sitting around the table at breakfast today talking about it, and just to keep guiding, and the fact that he doesn't break down when the hurdles come.